So here with the Codex today, we have Timothy Sykes. Tim is a successful day trader and day trading coach. I actually discovered Tim back in 2008, and I saw him then on TV. He's later gone on to like really blow up. What makes Tim really cool is he actually makes money from doing what he teaches, opposed to just making money as a guru. So, Tim, thank you for coming on the Codex, and we're pleased to have you.
Thanks for having me, man.
So, Tim, I know your story pretty well. Like, I'm already a fan, but for the people who are just learning about you for the first time, even including, you always include the audited number. How did you get started, and how long did it take you before you were successful?
So back in high school, I was a tennis player. I lost in the state finals my junior year, and I was so pissed, and I'm like, I'm going to fucking win my senior year. And that really inspired me to train really hard in the off season. I overtrained because I'm like a weak Jewish, non-athlete. And I got injured, and I had Tommy John surgery in my left arm. They took something out of my right arm, so I'm walking around high school like RoboCop with 2 casts on. I'm already into college, early admission. My parents gave me control of my bar mitzvah gift money at the time was roughly $12,000. They said, have fun, go to work in the stock market. And I was like, awesome, I will. And so I started investing in like boring companies. I had Boston Celtics, I had Viacom. I had Business Objects, these big companies, and for like the first month, my $12,000 didn't change, and I was like, this is terrible. This was back in 1999. The stock market is going crazy, and my account is doing nothing.
So this is the dot-com boom.
Yeah.
But you're not experiencing the boom at that point.
Yeah, for like a month. I had no idea about the stock market. I had done some research, but, I'm trying to grow this account. I have 2 casts on my arm. I can't do anything else. I can't play tennis. I'm already into college. I have nothing to do. So I start researching, and I find penny stocks, which are lower price stocks trading under $5 a share, and they're going up 50% in a day, 100% in a day, and I'm like, well, if I can just ride some of that move, I can really bank. And so I started doing that my senior year of high school, and by the end of my senior year of high school, I had grown the $12,000 into over $100,000 just playing hot penny stocks, just buying them whenever they were breaking out to new highs. That was my singular strategy. It wasn't very complex, but I made a lot of money doing it.
So you were literally sitting in your dorm room just making more money than you ever have.
Well, so this was senior year of high school. I was trading from the computer lab. I was skipping class. I was like saying, oh, I'm going to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, because we have to put this in context. This is 1999. There were no iPhones or Androids.
Exactly. And the computers were so slow. The computer lab, I don't know, what different high schools were like back then, but we had like a bank of computers, like 10 computers in a row. And because web pages took so long to load, I would like click to see the news on one computer, and it would take 30 seconds, and I would go to the next computer and click like a different web page, and then I would go back and forth. So I would use like 10 computers at once.
It's almost like a ghetto Bloomberg terminal.
Yeah, it was like an early like multiple monitor before they had those. And then freshman year, my parents were just happy that I even went to college, because at this point they're just like shocked. Like making $100,000 as a high schooler, I'm from a middle class background. This is a lot of money. But freshman year, I'm doing it from my dorm room, and my account is bigger, so I'm betting bigger. Same exact strategy, just buying penny stocks as they hit new highs, based on hype, based on news. And my account grew to over $800,000 by the end of freshman year. And at this point, I'm like, my mind is blown. I'm like, I made $100,000 in a day. I ran around the dorm, like I took my whole dorm out to dinner.
At what point, how old were you when you made $100,000? Because like I made $20,000 in a day, and I was 20, and I had no idea how to manage money. Like at one point, I was taking my girlfriend, now wife, to the strip club.
Yeah.
And she's straight, so we just got her massages. We were just blowing money. If I made $100,000, I probably would have overdosed on anything.
Well, it was over. It was like about 120 grand, but. I took my dorm out to dinner, but it was only like $800 because we went to this place, Fire and Ice in Boston. I highly recommend it. It's still there. I spoke at Harvard a few months ago, and I revisited the place, and I was like, I took my dorm here. And they're like, what? But I took my dorm out, and it was so cheap because we were all college freshmen. No one could drink. I think one person like snuck in a flask There was no alcohol on the bill.
Yeah.
I was 18, and that was just madness. I started extrapolating, like, if I can make 100 grand in a day, and I was like comparing my income to what NBA players make. And I didn't understand that it was, it was a stock market bubble. I was in the right place at the right time. In 2001, 2002, when the stock market crashed, most people lost all of their money. I didn't lose much.
So let me ask you a question.
Sorry.
You were majoring in like philosophy, right?
Yeah.
So
well, economics freshman year, and then I was like, I already know this. Let me take something I have no idea about. And philosophy was so weird to me, and it was good. It helped. Yeah. It was like therapy for me. Like this newly rich kid, I was like drinking so much. I was telling everybody how much I was making. I was an idiot. I needed philosophy.
Yeah, most philosophy majors end up working at Starbucks. So you figured I already have the money.
If they work at all, or they're homeless.
Yeah.
But it really balanced my mind, and it really, helped me understand the smartest man is the man who knows that he knows nothing. And I was like, wow, this is exactly what I need. So I didn't blow the money. I didn't lose much when everybody else was losing. I actually began short selling. So I made over $1 million sophomore, junior, senior year when I began short selling the same penny stocks that had run up, because I was like, these stocks are scams. At this point, the SEC came out with a report, and they said, they basically unveiled what, Jordan Belfort, Wolf of Wall Street, was doing with all the telemarketing of these penny stocks. So I had inadvertently been riding up these penny stocks that were being telemarketed. No one knew that they were being marketed. I just bought them based on the chart, based on the news. And then I took that same pattern and flipped it 2001, 2002, 2003, because they were all crashing. So I made my first $1 million buying, my second $1 million basically shorting. And I was, I basically made $2 million before I graduated college.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So at what point did you start the hedge fund?
That was senior year of college, because I was like, well, if I can make, a few $1 million with my own money, let me take on some investors, and family friends wanted in. And so I started a hedge fund. Not recommended. Never start a hedge fund while you're still in school, because then I'm trying to do schoolwork. I can't skip school because now I'm like majoring in philosophy. It's not easy. And then I'm trying to run the hedge fund, and I'm trying to trade. So sometimes I take a class and I miss a trade. Sometimes I skip the class and I take a meeting and I miss a trade.
Yeah.
Sometimes I make the trade and then I skip the meeting and I skip class. Like, it was just a terrible year.
Were you the only employee at the time? Because normally a hedge fund manager is schmoozing while they have people on the floor trading. So you're trading, you're trying to raise money, and you're trying to finish college.
It was too much. Back then in 2003 when I started it, you had a lot of one-man shops, and the goal was to raise a lot of money, and then, you're basically diversifying. Like, I could trade my own money, which I'd always done, but now as a hedge fund manager, I'm trading. I became roughly half of the fund, and I had other money that I managed. And we were the #1 ranked hedge fund for 3 straight years, making roughly 20%. Nothing huge, because what I discovered is my strategy wasn't very scalable. It's easy to make, 100,000 or maybe even $1 million a year in a good market, but you can't make like 10 or 100 million, which is what the hedge fund world is.
So, like, I think I once read Warren Buffett say that the first 100 million is the easiest.
Yeah.
Because you can't find places to allocate it. You were seeing the same thing because there's only so much, volume in these penny stocks.
Yeah, I mean, you can't take like a 10 million share position, or else you're going to own like a third of the company. So with these companies, I can take, a few thousand shares, maybe make 2,000 overnight, make 5,000, stuff like that. And I still do that, and that's what I teach now.
So your strategy is really conducive for people who have the smaller trading accounts.
Yeah, and that's what I learned the hard way. Because I tried to grow the hedge fund, didn't really work, was barely making, I was still making 6 figures, but in the hedge fund world, like, I was a pipsqueak.
Yeah.
So I was, fortunately, after 4 years of the hedge fund, because my fund wasn't growing and I'm really just frustrated, I put roughly a third of my fund into a family friends company. I'm like, this is the ticket. We're going to get huge. Investing is the way to go. Trading got me here, but now I'm going to try investing. And it totally blew up in my face. The family friend, they're pitching us the company over Thanksgiving dinner. It's such a bad idea. They basically invented print-at-home ticketing, and they actually did later get acquired for over $30 million. I would have made like $5 million had I held, but they went bankrupt. Investing is very different from trading, and I learned that the hard way. I lost a third of my fund. I lost all my credibility, and I started in a TV show, Wall Street Warriors.
So that's how I first heard about you. And when we first hopped on Skype, I started laughing because the first time I ever saw you, you were in a bathroom. I think you were in your bathrobe trading.
This is what
And
I do. I
yeah,
haven't changed much. I work in a bathrobe. I don't need a suit. I don't have an office. I work from like bedrooms and
but
couches.
it's such a contrast to the rest of Wall Street, especially on that show because they had this woman who she was extremely poised, and she was some sort of biz dev at an iBank, and then you had the P&E guy, going around touring places in
Hold
his
on one
suit.
second.
Then you had the people, you had the Canadian who was spending 100 grand on rent in the Hamptons, like, and then you're in your bathrobe, you're yelling at your mom to do laundry, and you're just flipping out, you're watching the trades, and it was so raw. It was so raw because it was capitalism at its finest. It was just you and the charts and money. So you said how you ended up switching your strategy. Was that by Wall Street Warriors? By then, were you already shorting these companies?
So Wall Street Warriors, they actually caught me like mid meltdown because my fund was doing fine. I was the #1 ranked trading fund for penny stocks, which doesn't say much. There were like 20 other funds, and they just all sucked. I was making 20% per year on roughly. I got my fund up to like 3 million. So I'm making like 500-600 grand a year from trading, but it's only half my money. So I'm making like 200-300 grand a year. It's just
And you're living in New York City at the time too, right?
Exactly. So I'm going out every night. I'm living in like this ridiculous loft. It was just, it didn't work. And so I was frustrated. So I started investing, blew that. Then Wall Street Warriors contacted me, and I was kind of in the middle of, trading and investing. And over the course of while we filmed season 1, my fund was doing good as always, and then the investment took a turn. And so I was just drunk in every scene. You don't see that, but I'm just, hammered. And it was kind of weird because there's a lack of transparency in the hedge fund industry. There still is,
Really
but
is.
back then there really was. Like, you couldn't talk about performance. So no one knew that my hedge fund wasn't doing that great. We didn't lose everything. There's rumors like I blew up, I lost everything. No, I lost 30%. Overall, the fund still finished up over 4 years, but it never really made it. Wall Street Warriors showed people my story. People said, hey, I want to turn a few thousand into a few million. So I started getting 20, 50, 100 emails a day. And I was like, screw this hedge fund. My strategy isn't working for this. I'm still making money from trading, not investing. And so let me teach the trading rules. So I started my website. I wrote a book, thought it would sell 1 million copies. It sold like 10,000 copies. It was like nothing.
The book being American Hedge Fund.
Correct, an American hedge fund, and it was my whole, journey. And I tried to show the good and the bad, and it really helped me understand how much fraud there is in the world of like teaching about the stock market and trading, because no one was teaching good trading rules. A lot of people claimed to have made a few million. They didn't show how. I showed every single trade. I show my audits. I show. And that really led me to understand, like, I just have to be transparent. You can see my screw-ups. You can see when I win. In the past year, I've had two $70,000 plus gains. I only have like $10,000 losses, but I show every trade.
That's through Covestor.com, right?
So Covestor, I'm skipping ahead, sorry. Covestor, I'm like really lucky. Right when things happen, that's when I'm there. Covestor was a new company back in 2007. They were like, keep going, because they were roughly break even after 3 good years and 1 bad year. But I was like, no, there's not much, opportunity here. Let me take advantage of this teaching. And Covestor had just developed this platform where you could verify your trades. They tap into your brokerage account to see what you're doing. And at the time, they were trying to get all these financial bloggers on the platform, and like 200 plus financial bloggers signed up. And we were all competing to see who could do better. And one by one, you could put a little badge on your website. And one by one, these badges started disappearing from different websites because they weren't frankly doing
these guys. They essentially they would show their winners.
Yeah,
and that's it.
Yeah.
Have you?
Well, Covestor made you see the winners and the losers. And if you're a financial blogger and you're quote an expert, you don't want to show your losers because that makes you kind of see like, wait a minute, you're not that good. You're not an expert. And that's pretty much what the finance industry is. Sadly, Covestor had to change business models because I was like the only one left from the initial group. I became the #1 ranked trader out of 60,000 plus users because I would show everything. And I went back to my $12,000.
There you go. Yeah, you did it again.
And I was like, I'm going to show you step by step. And I turned the 12,000 into 230,000 in 3 years. And then Covestor changed business models. They don't really care about showing rankings. They're trying to do copy trading now, which doesn't really work for my strategy, because for me, I'm trading very small companies. They're below the threshold that Covestor sets for companies that they should trade, because I trade microcaps. So I couldn't really work with them anymore. And so that was kind of sad. But for the first 3 years, I was the #1 ranked trader, and that showed that, wait a minute, I didn't just get lucky in the bubble.
Exactly.
I actually have a strategy that I'm making money year in, year out. And that really led to me growing my business. I began with, no students, and I would just show every trade. I had a book. I created a DVD called Penny Stocking, showing the rules of my trading strategy. I had a book, a DVD, and a blog, and Covestor validated everything. And
when I first heard about you, there's always, the internet's full of negative people, because, it's easy to just hop on a computer.
Yeah.
The most common negative comment about you was, of course he made money. It was the .com boom. Everyone made money. So then when you did it again, it sort of said, listen, I'm not just doing this because it's a .com boom. The economy sucks right now, and I'm still doing this.
Exactly. So that was what really propelled my business 2007 to 2011. And I grew my business to nearly 3,000 students. And then I created this thing called the Millionaire Challenge. And I was like, screw me just making money. I'm going to challenge myself to create a millionaire. And everyone's like, shut up.
Let's slow down a bit. Because by that time, you ended up going to Boca and working with the guy in your website and getting to Miami. At what point did you say, I'm really changing my life. I'm going to Miami. I'm going to do more training. It seems like a very big difference between the typical trader, like, the Cohens, who literally pay to have their pictures removed from the press. How did you decide I'm going to do this? Was it just, I'm getting so many people hitting me up, I might as well?
Yeah, I mean, there was so much demand. And then when I started looking, I never thought I was going to be teaching this. I was always just making money trading, and then I wanted to manage money for some rich people. I met with SAC Capital. I went to their crazy Greenwich headquarters at the time. And, I just really enjoyed working with average people better. People would hit me up. They're like, I only have a few $1,000s to my name. I want to change I was like, screw these elitist, rich bastards. Let me teach the average person, because I'm just an average person. I get along with poor people. All my best friends are poor people. Rich people hate me.
That sort of reminds me of Donald Trump. I once heard him tell somebody, he was like, he said I was picking on someone for being poor. He's like, no, that's not me. I make fun of rich people. It's too much fun. It really is a different type of person. And those are the people who are really looking up to you. I can't imagine, these prop traders for Goldman looking at a penny stocking guy with envy,
I mean, I have a blog post breaking down the 7 groups of haters, of people who hate me. And it's mostly a lot of big-time traders. They see this guy, with the American flag, pitching the American dream, and his $35,000 Rolex, and his, $230,000.
That's not the one you threw, right?
No, I threw the $9,000 one. But I'll throw this one, too. I'll throw any of them. Look at this. This is what differentiates me from the rich people. You have all these rich people who are like, oh, look at this watch. This is what my life is all about. I don't give a fuck. I don't care about this stuff, okay? All of this exists just to help inspire you.
Shout out to Rolex Enforcer. You just threw a real watch.
I did throw a real watch. I don't know. I might have broken it. Whatever. I don't care. It's all just fucking games. I could live in a cardboard box eating ramen noodles. I'd be just happy. I need Wi-Fi. I need my iPhone with Wi-Fi so I can check Instagram and stuff. But, I don't need any of this. The beauty of this is that this stuff is fun. It's fun to have a $35,000 watch. It's fun to throw a $35,000 watch. It's fun to have a Lamborghini. I get nauseous going 170 miles an hour in it. I need, Dramamine. I need Jumamine before I go in my Lambo and stuff like that.
So, all right, let's go to Instagram for a second.
Yeah.
Someone actually had to tell me about this. What happened between you and Lunatic Living and Blazarian?
Well, so, part of what I do is I buy good penny stocks and I short sell bad companies.
So you call out the shit, in other words.
Yeah, basically expose pump and dumps.
Yeah.
And, Dan Bilzerian has grown huge on Instagram, and I basically called out his family's past, and I overstepped my bounds.
Yeah.
I know penny stocks, and so I get a little too aggressive. When I see red flags, I start connecting the dots, and I went a little too far. I got a little
You're breaking up. 1 second.
Just, really exposing penny stocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's fine.
How are we now?
No, we're good.
Yeah, I mean,
but it's that same energy that got you to where you are. I mean,
I pick fights. I use that energy. I'm trying to do good, but at the same time, you like the hedge fund. I overextended myself with a hedge fund. I thought that if I can make a few million, I can make 100 million. Same thing like when the real world, if I see a few red flags, I can do a whole expose. Life isn't that simple. So what I've learned is really what my expertise is, and that is penny stocks and penny stock trading. So I get a little too crazy. I apologize. Dan and I made up, but it was something that I did, and I make mistakes, and that's my bad.
I couldn't think of like another rich person that I'm actually scared of than those two guys.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really pick the best fight, and I wasn't even looking for a fight. Like I like exposing facts, and I went a little too far.
Well, it goes back to transparency. You want transparency, especially on Instagram. Like I always tell people, we're both in South Florida. I tell everyone like, if Miami actually had the GDP represented on Instagram, we would be Monaco.
Yeah.
So I totally get it.
But there's a lot of sketchy money in Miami. So you don't know what anybody really has or what they don't have. Instagram, it's very easy to lie. And you paint like a beautiful portrait on Instagram and stuff like that. I try and be as transparent. This is why I post my tax records. I post my audits. And I wish more people would do that. But I understand. It's kind of taboo to talk about money. A lot of my friends think like I share way too much. But, that's my business.
Do you think it is taboo, though?
I don't care about. Well, the difference is I don't care about any of it, okay? Like, if I lost it, this is all just one big journey for me. I'm not supposed to be this guy. I'm supposed to be like a tennis player. I probably would have screwed up in my tennis career if I didn't get injured. I'd be teaching at some, like, local high school right now, I'm living this crazy life, so I'm going to have fun with it. A lot of rich people are scared to death because their whole purpose is to make money and to like collect it and be like, oh, I'm so rich. Yeah, I don't want to do that. I actually just pledged to give away $2 million this year. I'm going to follow through with that, and you'll see it soon in some coming videos and on TV. Just because it's fun. Why not?
So, all right, so let's go back to your students. Let's talk about the first millionaire, Tim.
Yeah.
How did that come about? How did he become a millionaire through learning through you?
So he's actually my second millionaire student. So for the first 3 years, I didn't have any millionaire students. And I had people making money like $1,000, $5,000. If you want to learn from me, you can't pay me more than a few $1,000s. That's max. I don't have like a college tuition like $30,000, $40,000 a year. Yeah. But people still, I felt like people love the word millionaire, and they needed a symbol. So we created this millionaire challenge, and the whole thing, it doesn't matter in real life if you make $700,000, $1 million, or even $50,000. Your life is pretty good. Most people have less than $10,000 in savings. But I said, you know what? Let's create one common goal, the millionaire challenge. I challenged myself to create a millionaire. And after like 2 years of this millionaire challenge, I had no millionaires. People were giving me shit. But at the same time, they were getting closer. Sorry. Let's see. How are we?
We're good now. Yeah.
I'm in Beverly Hills. I'm not in my Miami place right now, so I don't have the best internet. But
that's cool.
It's okay. I travel all the time. I was like just in Bali a few weeks ago, and the internet was terrible. So I still made a few $1,000s. Anyways, with the Millionaire Challenge, no one was a millionaire all at once, but it takes time with my strategy. You make 2,000 here, you make 5,000. Sometimes you lose. I only win roughly 73% of the time. So it takes time. After 2.5 years, I had my first millionaire student, Michael Good. He had turned roughly 100,000 into 1.4 million now. But my second millionaire student, his story went viral because he started with just $1,500 to his name, and he is now up to 2.5 million after 4 years. CNN interviewed us, Fox interviewed us, and the CNN story has been shared over 5,000 times because pretty much everybody with $1,000 wants to make $1 million. That's the dream.
Yeah.
And we give the blueprint, and now I'm very, so thankful. Tim Grittani and Michael Good, my first 2 millionaire students, both now also help me give weekly webinars to other students. So we're trying to pay it forward, and that is what my Millionaire Challenge has evolved into because, we train from what has worked for us. And Tim Grittani has now given nearly 20 webinars exclusively for my Millionaire Challenge students. and they're fantastic. He's not just a good trader, he's an even better teacher now. But somehow he used my rules, he used my patterns, and he's taking it to the next level. He's an even better trader than me, and
really?
that's incredible. Yeah.
Wow.
And we show all of our trades. It's not like we have these amazing stock picks where you find a company and then everybody else piles in and then you sell. That's the majority of the penny stock world.
So
what we trade actively traded penny stocks that are moving 20, 30, 50, 100% in a day, and we take 10, 15, 20% over the course of the day, sometime during the day, and we try and take the meat of the move. That's the whole strategy. No matter what industry it is, no matter what company. We had the weed stocks that were very popular in early 2014. Then you had police equipment stocks thanks to the shootings.
Really?
Then you had Ebola stocks because Ebola was very scary. So whatever hot trend, some penny stocks go from like $1 to $8, and you can buy them on the way up and short them on the way down. And they're very similar to the same patterns that I've been playing for 15 years. No matter what the trend in the world is, there's usually a penny stock that can be played with it.
How are these stocks getting pumped now? Because it really can't be the boiler rooms, the way the Wolf of Wall Street did it. Is it all email and internet now?
Yeah, I mean, there's email. I don't know the back end of how they do it. There are companies out there that do financings with these small companies, and then they do their magic, for lack of a better word, and they get the stock price up.
If they're really lucky, they might have Shaq tweet it for them.
Exactly. Sometimes they bring in celebrities. I've gotten in fights with celebrities. I got a cease and desist letter from Shaquille O'Neal when I exposed his pump and dump, and I was scared shitless at first. But then, I looked at Shaq's cease and desist letter, and the lawyer, was like a junior lawyer, and he spelled the word egregious wrong. There's no A in egregious, asshole. Okay, so these celebrities get involved with these companies based on the products.
Did Shaq ever get in trouble for this?
No, of course not. He's had several of them. He had an out clause in the agreement. If the stock ever dropped below $1, he's out. Because that way, when the stock crashes, he has nothing to do with it. But on the way up, they're using his image. Justin Bieber got involved with a pump, and he owns 16% of a company, and he's tweeting it out, and he's making public service announcements. There was this company. It was a good company, good product, where it would prevent you from text messaging while you're driving. So you can't text and drive, which is fantastic. The problem, as I wrote about, was that this company did not invent the technology. They actually licensed it from a Chinese company, and the Chinese company had a stock. So if you believed in this company, you could have invested in the Chinese company if you believed in the technology. But Justin Bieber bought 16% of this company that licensed it, and the company had so many red flags. They had no money. Some of their management had criminal records. Like one of their I think it was their COO. He used to scratch off license plates down in West Palm Beach, and I didn't even discover that.
I'm not even surprised it's Florida. I'm not even surprised.
Exactly. Some other blogger discovered that, and then I started getting, I exposed all these red flags, and I started getting hate mail like Tim Sykes wants teenagers to die in text messaging car accidents. I'm like, no, I don't. It's a good product, but you have to understand it's not a good product does not mean a good stock. This is the main problem with penny stocks. There's always red flags. There's always something happening behind the scenes. It's not just about the product. The same thing with my family friend's dad's company. They invented print at home ticketing. I was so dead on about investing in that technology. But they also had a deal with Universal Studios, and they kind of, borrowed from Universal Studios, and Universal was suing them to get the money back, and they didn't have the money to pay. So then they're signing deals with other companies to try and pay back Universal. That has nothing to do with print at home ticketing, but that is what the kind of red flags that come about with these companies. So you really have to do the research, and that's what I teach people to do, to dig through the SEC filings, to not trust these penny stocks, and to really understand that while something can be hyped, whether it's an Ebola play or a weed stock, it's not necessarily going to be the next Microsoft. It never is the next Microsoft.
So when someone's learning from you, how long are they typically holding a stock for?
Everyone's different. I have students in over 70 countries now, men, women, children, old, young. It doesn't matter. Everyone has different perspectives. Their personalities are different. Some people like when there was a camera remember the police shootings, the 2 police shootings last summer? So, these companies that supply equipment to the police forces, correct, started running up. And, I posted as a watch list, DGLY, Digital Ally, as a potential buy at $4 a share. And I was like, this might run on this news. I don't know how big it'll be. Some people bought it and they just held. and the thing went from $4 to $33 in 2 weeks. So I was dead on. I didn't even buy it. I was so scared shitless of this hype because I knew the company, it wasn't really a good company, and I was scared. And, I didn't do it, but some of my students did. That's the beauty of running a newsletter. I don't have to be perfect anymore. Like as a hedge fund manager, I have to do the trade. I have to make the trade. I have to make the profit. That's how I win over investors.
It sort of reminds me of like the old school, forums people would pay to be a member of just to see someone's pick. It's the same thing.
It is, except for me, my picks, I pick any hot penny stock and I can just say, oh, look, I picked this stock. That's what a lot of people do. A lot of chat rooms do. What I do is teach the patterns, because the same pattern that broke that stock from 4 to 30 and then on the way down, all the way from 30 down to 10 in the same 2 weeks, those are the same patterns that I've been playing for 15 years. So it's not enough just to pick a stock. I like to show why, and that's why some people hold it for several weeks, even when I don't personally buy it. Usually, I'm in and out in a day or two, sometimes even in an hour or two, and I screw up the trades, and I miss out on the big runs. My $4.2 million now, that's what I'm up to in trading profits all these years, they're not anywhere near best case scenario. I'm actually a far better teacher than I am trader, because I don't have the patience, I don't have the right personality type to be like a truly great trader.
So, yeah, you talked about that, you have the mansion and the Lamborghini in Miami. That's not the type of lifestyle you just pay for, only making 4.2 over a certain number of years. So you're
Correct.
doing pretty good teaching, too.
Yeah, we're doing, last year was our best year. We pulled in nearly $15 million
Awesome.
in 2014. So I had also a record trading year. I made nearly $1 million in trading, but, I trade and I teach, and the teaching is a lot more scalable. This is what I learned when I got into the teaching business, because I can teach 1 million people how to make $1,000 each, right?
Yeah.
But I can't personally make $1 billion. It would be the same billion. If I teach 1 million people to make $1,000, that is $1 billion. But I personally cannot make $1 billion ever trading. So
have you considered opening your own firm where you have your own prop traders and you just teach them how to do it?
If I do that, then I'm like, there's regulations where if you're a broker and if you run a prop firm, I don't want to do that. I really just want to teach. I want to teach the patterns. I want to teach the rules. I don't want to get into recommending any stock or anything like that. That is regulations galore.
Got you. Because your life is pretty mobile right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to say 1/50th of the shit that I say if I was a regulated financial advisor. I don't want to be that. I always say I'm not a financial advisor. Part of the reason why I wear a robe is not just because it's comfortable. To help you understand, I'm not in a suit and tie. I'm not working at Morgan Stanley or some big firm. I'm not trying to get management fees. I'm here to teach you everything I've learned in 15 years. You take it, you leave it.
I think people relate to that better too, because you actually are a human being, and you're not someone who's living for management fees.
I mean, the finance industry is a multi-trillion-dollar business, so most people like the suit and tie. They do the lunch meetings. They hand over 10 million, 100 million big firms to manage that capital. And the financial advisors are so full of crap. They're just trying to put it in mutual funds that, make more than 1% per year that beat the S&P 500 and say, look at me, I'm an expert. Get out of here with your, Fugazi stuff.
What's the saying? Wall Street's the only place where the man in the Mercedes asked the man who took the subway for advice.
Yeah, where are the customers' yachts? It's Wall Street. Don't even get me started. It's all about projecting an image of success and professionalism. And deep down, if you look at the statistics, 90% plus of traders lose. 70% plus of mutual fund managers fail to beat the S&P 500 any year. And actually, if you want to see a mutual fund manager who beats the S&P 500 every single year, 96% of them fail to do that. So it's all an industry built on commercials. You have the E-Trade singing baby that gets people oh, it's so easy. When in fact, it's really just the world's biggest casino.
So I do want to stay on that for a second, because a few Christmases ago, a certain movie came out, and everyone suddenly glamorized fraud, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I grew up we're the same generation to where people idolized Boiler Room, and I never really got why, because the ending sucked.
Yeah.
And before that, people idolized Glengarry Glen Ross, and the ending sucked.
Yeah.
And then people idolize The Wolf of Wall Street, because it's Leonardo DiCaprio and it's the Lamborghini and it's the model and he's crashing the yacht and it's ostentatious, but no one seems to stay on the fact that the guy's a fraud and he made all his money stealing. Because
people want to live the life. In this generation, in this society, people want that kind of stuff no matter the cost. People, I rip on the Wolf of Wall Street, I rip on Jordan Belfort. They say, oh, you're just jealous. I'm not jealous of anybody who makes money that way. If you scam people, I don't care if you make $1 billion, if you make $1 trillion, you're not doing the world any good. And I think that, it would be better if we glamorize teachers. Imagine if teachers got paid 7 figures and you're like, you're the world's best teacher. You're the world's best math teacher. I say this. I suck at math, FYI. A lot of people are like crazy about this. They're like, you made all this money, you must be a genius at math. I suck at technology. I suck at math. You see, I have internet problems, and this is my freaking business. The beautiful thing is, what if, some math teacher, a high school math teacher, drove to school with a Lamborghini? Would you be more inspired to learn math? I would. I would have. But the teachers are miserable people. Most teachers in the world are those who can't do, and that's why they teach. Okay? It's like an easy job, like, oh, you buy this fancy education at college, you screw up in the corporate world, well, you can still be a teacher because you have the academic credentials. And so our students, our youth, are learning from these mediocre/failures.
Well, even better.
We're not getting anywhere. Yeah. And people idolize the frauds because at least they've gotten ahead in life.
Even what's amazing is he didn't just steal and then go to prison for it. He's now making his money teaching you how he stole.
And he's not even paying anybody back. This is the worst part. He still owes $100 million, and his business is based in Australia. So U.S. regulators can't get to him. And he says, I don't make that much, and he's living the life. It's disgusting. It's disgusting.
So if you can offer somebody who's looking to make money in the stock market one piece of advice, what would it be?
I would be like, you know what? Understand that A, it's difficult. B, it is achievable. C, you're going to have to study your ass off to beat the odds. Everybody wants to be rich. Everybody wants that lifestyle. What are you willing to do to get there? Do you want to scam people? No, that's not worth it. Trust me, it is not worth it. Even though Jordan Belfort likes to project success, I'm sure most nights he goes to bed crying his ass to sleep or drinking himself into a coma because he is not happy. Because deep down, he knows, what has he done for this world? Is the world a better place because of him? No, it's a worse place. There have been thousands of people who have been scammed because of him. It doesn't matter how many frat boys in high school congratulate him on being so luxurious. In the real world, you are just based on the money that you make, but on the good that you do. And if you want to make money and do good, and you want to give back to charity, take care of your family, teach people, which I think is a hugely, undervalued profession. Obviously, that's what I do. I think that you should really look to make money and make an impact.
Yeah, there is a model to make money teaching.
Money is boring. When I made my first $1 million, I went to go live in Spain for the summer. I drank, I ate, I had all these parties. I had all these friends in Spain. I don't even speak Spanish, but when I'm drunk, I'm very fluent in it because I just don't know what I'm saying, Mi español es muy mejor cuando yo bebo mucho. I don't speak that well, but I was living the life and I was bored as shit because my life had no meaning. So don't just focus on the Lamborghini and the mansions. I use that as marketing techniques, as inspiration, because I want people to study. But once they get into my video lessons, I don't show them any of that stuff. That's just the stuff that you get if you study hard enough. Those are the rewards that I can show you. It's kind of tough to show the beauty that you would see if, like I see, when some of my students come up to me in person and they shake my hand. I had this one guy come up to me before my conference in Vegas. I throw a conference every year. He shook my hand. He said, Tim, I can't afford to go to your conference this year, but I got to tell you, in the past year, I've been studying your free video lessons, and I have 400 free video lessons on YouTube. And he said, last year I was homeless. This year I'm not. And he's crying to me, and he's so thankful. And I can't show that in an Instagram post or stuff like that, but it is so much more valuable to me than the watch which I throw, the Lamborghini which I crash. That is what matters in life. So if you aim to get a good life and live like the Wolf of Wall Street, that's cool. Do it. Whatever gets you inspired, whatever gets you studying. I had a big poster of a Lamborghini when I was growing up too.
We all did.
But
Sometimes, right?
as you get smarter, as you get wiser, as you really go along your journey of studying, you'll realize that stuff doesn't matter. It's fun. I'm not going to say it's not fun. I'd rather have a Lamborghini than a freaking Jeep Cherokee, which was my first car. But it's not what really matters in the end. That's what I would tell the people who want to make a lot of money.
That's the philosophy major speaking.
That's the philosophy, but it is beautiful. Once you have the money, you can determine what you want to spend it on. If you want a Lamborghini, that's fine. If you want to give to charity, if you want to travel, I've been to nearly 100 countries. Whatever you want. That is the American dream, baby. You can do whatever you want once you have it, but you need to get there. And to get there, you need to work harder than everybody else. And I don't think most people aren't willing to do that. They're not ready.
They don't understand it.
They want to play their video games. They want to smoke their weed. They want to go out with their friends. You can't do any of that. If you want to sit home on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, every single night, just study. And study from people who have made it. Don't study from mediocre people and failures. Don't just study textbooks about, the Civil War and stuff like that. Study about from people who are making it. The internet has changed the game. You can learn from freaking Mark Cuban. You can learn from Mark Anderson, who basically invented the net. And he's on Twitter, and he's posting these amazing things. You got Sam Altman. You got all these great people who are sharing what they've learned. Ryan Ellis sold Eye Contact for like $150 million, and he has these startup guides free online. So learn from people who have made it and people who are sharing and giving it back. Not just me. There's a lot of people out there who really can change your life if you are willing to study.
So I'm not calling you out.
Yeah.
I like everything you just said. And
call me out.
Huh?
Call me out. It's fine. What you got?
No. So that's great. Like startup school and all that. Sam Altman and Andreessen. So why Bravo and why the reality TV shows? So
this is just another avenue for me to expand my teachings. I look like a jackass on these TV shows. The Below Deck made me out to look like terrible. I took 6 students. I treated them, FYI, 6 trading challenge students. I paid $10,000 each to come aboard this $12 million yacht with me. We were going to trade. We were going to laugh. They were going to film it all. I was like, awesome. This is going to be great. What happened was, we're partying. We're having fun. We're going down the slide. They don't show any of that. They say, oh, they're just trading the whole time. No, we weren't. We had fun. I actually went big on a position on the boat because it's for TV. I have the cameras in my face, and I bet nearly $500,000, which I rarely go that big ever. I think that was my biggest bet of 2014 on one stock. And I turned out to be dead on right. I made $70,000 while aboard the yacht with terrible Wi-Fi. The internet wouldn't even work. I had to call my broker, and the cameras are on me. I'm thinking to myself, this is going to be great TV. They didn't show any of it. So they make it look like I lost money on the yacht. I mean, I explain it. The students were there. They can back me up and stuff like that. It's not always perfectly planned with these reality shows, but I have nothing to hide, and I can look like a jackass. And the beautiful thing is that people find me on these reality shows so much more than on Twitter or anything. TV is still dominant, and I actually have a new reality show coming out on E! In March. So you can look forward to that, and I make a jackass out of myself.
Can you say any more about it?
Sorry, what?
Can you say any more about what the show is?
No, I can't. Well, you'll see me act like a jackass with my Lamborghini and a lot of cash, and I play with the cash and stuff like that. So you'll see.
I'm being dead honest.
Yeah.
That was the only show I've ever paid Amazon to watch.
There you go.
Because I saw you were on it, and I was like, I want to see what's going to happen because you're a pretty loud guy.
I don't go into this stuff knowing what's going to happen. If I could have planned it, I would have shown the $70,000 trade. Instead, they're making fun of my girlfriend, who's now my fiance. They didn't show anything that I wanted. But at the end of
breaking up. What did you say?
People find me. If they want to learn, they come and study. And that's all I can do as a teacher is spread my word every which way. If I was just a disciplined teacher and I'm like, learn penny stocks, you can be like this too. You can make money. And I'm not like, you know, loud or if I still drove my Jeep Grand Cherokee. My buddy has a Jeep Grand Cherokee, and I was driving to my Miami place a few weeks ago, and my Lambo was in the shop, as it always is, because there's a million things wrong with it. And I'm driving, and I'm like, oh my God, this feels so nice. Like, we have speed bumps in my neighborhood, and I'm driving over the speed bumps, and I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I kind of, for a second, thought about going back to the Jeep Grand Cherokee versus the Lambo. But the Lambo is fun. When you stop at a red light, everyone's taking pictures. I like to carry some gumballs with me, and I throw it in people's mouths because their mouths are open. They're like, and I try and throw the gumballs in, and it's like a little fun game. You can't do that with the Jeep. I'm kidding about the gumballs, but I'm just saying, like, you can do that. It's fun. It's fun. It's more fun. That's what it comes down to. But if you're trying to be a teacher, you need to use every single resource you can. And reality TV is my biggest resource. The Wall Street Warriors is what's launched me, and I was trashed. CNBC, if you watch me, my first time on CNBC, I was so nervous. I had 7 shots of tequila. I could barely open my eyes when I'm in the studio. I'm like, but the other guy who was on is very sober. He's very weird.
And where is he exactly?
He's nowhere. And you can Google this, type in top traders on CNBC, Tim Sykes. You can watch the first interview, and the Bill Griffith, who works at CNBC, I don't even know if he still does. I don't watch the channel. It's not useful for my kinds of stocks. But he asked us, you know, what is your biggest loss? And I'm trash, so I'm like, you know, I lost 180 grand in one day. And the other guy,
you're not supposed to actually say what the loss is.
you're not supposed to say that. And the other guy, like, they're like, well, what about you? And he's like, big, not that big. And then Bill Griffith is like, well, what did you do the next day? What did wallow? And I was like, no, actually the next day I made back 220,000. And a true story, Taylor Devices. Sorry, did we get crunched there? My internet was out.
We're okay.
No, so the next day after I lost 180,000, I made back 220,000. Terrible way to make $40,000. I almost had a heart attack.
You're taking huge risks.
This was back when I was, you know, this was 2004, Taylor Devices. This was me shorting a piece of crap company. It had gone from 1 to 6 based on remember the Asian tsunamis back then?
Yeah, Philippines
so
got hit. This
company, they make earthquake absorption equipment. And with the tsunamis, everyone's thinking, oh, this company, everyone in Asia is going to need this earthquake absorption equipment on their buildings. And if you look at the financials, they had no cash. Even if they got in orders, they wouldn't be able to produce it. And, you know, they put out a press release saying, we're meeting with people. And the stock went from 1 to 6. And I was like, this is BS. This is ridiculous. And then it went to 8. And I lost my...
We're losing you for a second. 1 second.
80,000. It went to 9 the next day. And I'm like, this is too ridiculous. So I shorted again, made back the 220,000, and 2 days later it's down to $2 a share. I could have made 600,000. So just to show you the whole up and down, and I collected a measly 40,000, and that's the strategy. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, we were lagging for a few seconds, but we heard everything you said.
Cool. Okay. As long as you hear it, you know, I don't capture all of the opportunity. I just recognize this pattern and I play it again and again.
All right, Tim. It was awesome getting to meet you. If the Codex readers and viewers want to get a hold of you and follow you, where do they go?
Go to timothysykes.com. We have free videos there. You can get alerts. You get watch lists. I have 8,000 blog posts. If you want to actually be a dedicated student and dig through that, you'll find a lot of amazing stuff. You don't even have to pay, but you have to be dedicated, and you need to be diligent. I hate people who just say, oh, I want a hot stock pick. I want a hot stock pick. Get better than that. Don't be a degenerate.
Yeah. I would also add, follow Tim on YouTube. There was a time in my life when I went totally broke. And the only thing that kept me going were watching people like Tim, who I knew started with nothing, and they had money. Like, I even saw a video of you, you had just money and the American flag, and you're just like, count this money, you know.
I like doing that with money. It seems to inspire people. It's actually pretty easy. With Bank of America, you can withdraw like 6 figures whenever you want, and it's only like a $2 ATM fee. It's like nothing. So I do that for videos, and then I put it right back. I don't have like cash lying around. People are like, you shouldn't have cash lying around. I'm like, I take it out for like a day, I film with it, I make a video, and then I put it back.
That reminds me of like, that's Floyd Mayweather. Like, people think he actually has cash. Like, no, he gets the cash, he films it, he pays with his debit card, he puts the money back.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Like there's like little secret doors and little secret rooms at your local bank for this kind of stuff. I had no idea. I think it's hilarious, but it really inspires people, and that's all I want to do. I don't want to, you get some people hate me. They think I'm like bragging about it. I'm not bragging about it. I can do this. You can do this. I'm not that smart. I'm not that good at math. Everyone is shocked that I'm not good at math. It shouldn't be shocking. I'm just working harder than anybody else. I have always put in 16, 18-hour days for over a decade, whether I'm studying stock market patterns or how to blog or, how to film YouTube videos. I film my own stuff. Like I learn everything with the internet, with the resources that exist out there, especially free resources. You can learn everything. You don't need to waste 4 years at college ever again, or let alone 10 years. Graduate school, don't even get me started. People who get like 6 figures in debt and they're like, well, I have a graduate degree. I want to punch them in their face. Like, you don't need any of that.
Yeah. I know people like that. I know people who literally, they actually have to plan their life around how they're paying back their student loan debt. And to me, that's just unbelievable. Because I dropped out of school the minute I realized I'm making what my dream job makes. And I haven't gone back. And, I think I probably owed like $5,000. I couldn't imagine if I owed $70,000 or $80,000 and I'm making what, 45, 50,000 a year. It's almost depressing.
And you have people who are like trying to get like 30, 40, $50,000 paying jobs a year just so they can make back their school debt over like 3 or 5 years. So you go to school for 10 years, then you pay back.
No one gets it. No one gets it.
Then you try and pay back your debt. Listen, you think my marketing is like, crazy. College marketing. It's ingrained in the US and it's so wrong. The internet is going to change everything in the coming decades. It's still too new. People still don't realize its full potential or even its partial potential. But as applications get more developed, as you can learn everything through webinars and interviews like this, you don't need to go to school. You can go to school if you want to go to like the frat parties, that's fun, and you want to drink yourself to death and into a coma, that's fine. But you can learn everything online, and that is what the beauty of the internet and websites like yours and mine.
So aside from the keg party, which we're not going to get at timothysykes.com, how much are your courses?
So they're different ranges. The most you can spend with me is roughly $5,000. That's if you get every single DVD, personal training, webinars from my millionaire students and I. That's the Millionaire Challenge. Or you can spend as little as $50 a month and get basic video lessons, alerts, watch list, commentary. Or you can just watch my free videos. You can go on my YouTube and watch nearly 400 free videos.
So for the price of like community college, I could actually learn from you specifically.
Yeah, and there's, over 3,000 video lessons now in my video lesson library, and there's over, I think, 600 webinars. And they talk about all different things, anything that you can imagine. I have some students who watch everything twice or 3 times. They don't need me after like a year or two. I'm like training wheels. So that's how I look at it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Tim, I've never recommended a guru in my life. But if there is one to recommend, it's Timothy Sykes. He's not pushing some affiliate marketing garbage. It's not an MLM. These are regulated financial markets, and he's just showing you how to expose them, really. And he's calling out the shit. You can look him up. You can look up his tax returns. You can look up everything about the guy. He's highly vetted, and he's right. The internet is really changing things. The one thing I try telling everybody I meet is how speculative going to college is. I tell people it's crazy to invest all your money that you can't even charge off for the chance to get a job. And then when you get the job, you're not even guaranteed to keep the job. So if you really want to go into sales for an interview, just go into sales. Otherwise, just learn how to make money. If you want to be a doctor, an attorney, great, go to school. If you want the hard sciences, go to school, get that paper so you can get hired somewhere. But if you're trying to make more money and you're 40 years old, you're 50 years old, you're 30 years old, the answer isn't getting into more debt. Because by the time you get out, the economy's changed again. And all those people getting the same degree as you are competing with you for the same job. And in my experience, like Tim, did you know in 2011, there were like 1.2 million people applying for a McDonald's job on one day, So I wrote a whole report about how for that one day it was harder to get a McDonald's job than it was to get into Harvard College. And it blows my mind. Like, I had family, like, they just didn't believe I made money for myself until they saw my first place. And then my brother was like, your bedroom's as big as my house. I'm like, yes. I've been doing this the entire time. Everything I want to learn, I learn online. And it's all free. I haven't had to pay for any education online. You know, there were the MOOCs. There was Khan Academy. Now there is Startup School, which is just amazing. If you want to learn the hard stuff, there are guys like you. But there's no reason. There's no reason to not do it. You know, if you want it more than you want to breathe, you can follow someone like Tim and do it. So, I just want to thank you. I didn't even reach out to you. Your publicist reached out to me, which was crazy because I'm actually a fan of yours.
Someone mentioned me in one of your interviews. I forget who it was, but he was like, I saw Tim Sykes. It came up in the Google alert, and so I was like, I want an interview with this guy.
Yeah, he's a trader, and he's young too. And people don't believe he makes the money because he's very, very private about it. You're the exact opposite. You know, you're like, yes, I make the money. Come here, I'm gonna slap you in the face with my tax return. So I love it.
I don't believe, you know, traders. No offense to whatever the guy's name is. I don't believe traders unless they show every single thing. There was a guy, his last name started with M and it ended in Adolf, and he was the president of NASDAQ, and he had a multi-billion-dollar hedge fund. Everyone just believed in him. Yeah. And he did not make any trades whatsoever. So if that can happen one time, and that only got discovered because of the whole family, like, confessions kind of thing, that can happen, that has happened, that is happening. So I highly encourage you, anybody, if you claim to be an expert in an industry, you better be able to back it up. I don't like this whole, like, hiding in the shadows, like, oh, let me post a picture of this guy.
I have one for you. What? There's a guy, I'm going to call him out on the Codex at the end of the month.
Cool.
He claims he's worth $400 million, but I can't find one asset.
There might be $400 million in monopoly money. He should qualify that.
Now,
monopoly money, $400 million. That could be very good.
The Rolex enforcer called him out because he claimed he had an Audemars. The sky blue tourbillon or something.
Okay.
But it was like. Oh, it was a Philippe Patek.
Okay.
But the one he had was like a $25 one you buy on Google.
But I mean, there's always going to be people who claim that.
And people pay them. That's what's crazy. I met the guy because a friend I knew paid him $20,000 to learn from the guy. And then he was like, all I learned was like Tony Robbins bullshit. This guy didn't teach me anything.
Sadly, that is a lot of the internet industry. So while you have all of this promise, it's like the Wild West. And in the Wild West, you know, you had like Dr. Hickman's miracle juice, and you would drink it, and like, it's going to cure you of all your ails. And that's what's happening right now with the internet. That will pass. Transparency is inevitable. So good luck to you scammers. If the Internet Codex doesn't expose you, I will. Someone will expose you. It does you no good to scam on the internet. You make some money at first, you live the life, and in the end, you're done. You don't deserve to have the money. You don't have a good reputation. You soil your name. There's so much more money in just being honest. If you just get qualified, if you become an expert at something, and then you're honest, and then you have a career that doesn't last 1, 2, 3, 4 years. It lasts 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and we're just in inning one of the internet. So get experience. Become an expert in anything. I don't care if you're a plumber. You can probably be the first, plumber worth $100 million if you become an amazing plumber and then somehow create an app or, video lesson series. Somehow you can use the internet to change your life. And that is what is going to happen over the next few years and decades.
Awesome. Well, Tim, thank you very much. The Codex wants to thank you. And again, if you want to reach Timothy, it's at timothysykes.com. Is the YouTube the same thing?
Yeah, it's all Timothy Sykes. Just do a Google search for Timothy Sykes and you'll find me.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Tim.
Thanks, man. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.